What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and as you just saw in the intro, I have everything I need to relocate my coils. If you don't know what I'm talking about, in my last video I introduced my 1988 Fox body Mustang with a 2.3 liter turbo swap, and I currently have individual coils mounted on my fender apron there. And I absolutely hate that location. I never really wanted them to be there. I just put them there in a rush because I wanted to get the car started again and there was really no room on the firewall. Anyway, today we have what we need to relocate them. The most important part being this coil bracket. This is going to mount to our intake manifold bolts, so it'll sit in between the intake manifold and the valve cover, and then our coils can mount up here. Now I did design this bracket myself in Fusion 360. Fusion 360 actually has a free personal use version, so I was able to download that. I took a quick course on Udemy on how to use the software because I've never used any type of CAD modeling software before. But the cool thing about Fusion 360 was I was able to print out my sketches and make prototypes out of them using cardboard. So I was able to kind of go through a few trial and error runs since this was my first time ever doing any type of modeling or designs like this. And I ended up at this is my final prototype. So as you can see, this lines up perfectly pretty much with the bracket. At the last minute, I did end up shortening the bracket because I think it just looks better and it was kind of a waste of material to have it taller like this. But anyway, once I was done the sketch, I was able to upload it to Send Cut Send, and 2 weeks later, my bracket arrived. We're gonna get this thing mounted up. We're gonna mount the coils to it. There is one thing we need to do before we can bolt this on, and I'm gonna go over that now. So here's all the hardware parts we need to get this coil bracket mounted up. We got some bolts, washers, nuts over here, the bracket obviously, and then one thing I wanna go over right now, and we'll get to this stuff in a little bit, but I wanna touch on this 45-degree elbow real quick. So over on the engine, this oil pressure sending unit right here, this is completely in the way of the coil bracket where it needs to go. And I already made enough compromises here because I had to work around this ISE, I had to work around my fuel pressure regulator, and I did not want to make any more compromises on the bracket design. So we're gonna put this 45-degree elbow on the oil pressure sending unit, and that'll get it out of the way of the bracket. So we're gonna need to do that first before we can mount the bracket up. Okay, so we got the 45-degree elbow on there, and now the fuel pressure sending unit is well out of the way of where our coil bracket will need to go. So now we can take these top 4 intake manifold bolts off, and we'll be able to put the bracket on. Okay, so the bracket is on. So next, I have to figure out, well, first I have to take these off, and then I have to figure out if my wiring harness for the coils will easily run all the way over there. Because I think with how tight it is under the bracket, like how tight it is under here, I think I'm gonna have to plug the coils in before I bolt them down. So I think the next step is take all the coils off and see if the wiring harness will reach. Okay, so we got some good news. It was pretty easy to just route these right over here. This is my old map sensor. I can just stick that down there. Yeah, there's a lot of sensors not hooked up on this car from the old distributor setup, old sensors that aren't needed with the new standalone ECU, and that's why we have all this junk running around. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to add another loom to this, and definitely sometime in the future we're going to be tearing this apart and trying to cut down on the number of wires on this car because there are a lot of unused wires. But in the meantime, we got our plugs over here, so now we can mount our coils up. Okay, so as you guys just saw, we got the coils mounted up to the new bracket. They're all plugged in. And now we got to just make some spark plug wires. So the previous wires I had made, and I had ordered an MSD kit for a V8. I did that because I knew I would be relocating these eventually, so I have plenty of extra parts left over to shorten the current wires that I have and re-crimp terminals on there. So let me show you how I'm planning to run these. So this was my cylinder number 1 wire, and I already cut it. So I'm planning to just run these straight across like that. So I'm just going to make 4. I think I'm going to make all 4 of them the same length because that should work fine. The only issue we have is down here on the number 4 because of this giant thing here. So this was needed on the stock setup, but now I have a catch can, so this really isn't needed. So over here, you guys saw these parts earlier in the video, and what this is these 2 rubber grommets here are what go in the valve cover, and that's what that giant filter thing slides into. So these 2 are actually 2 slightly different sizes. I think on Amazon, one was listed as 0.75, the other one was 0.5. So I don't know, I think this is the smaller one. So I got this little AN-8AN adapter fitting, and this I think was for an LS. I'll put the link for this in the description below along with the part number, and this thing slides into these pretty snugly. So I think it might slide into this one and be a little tighter. And then we have a 90-degree -8 swivel fitting here. So we should be able to just run an AN line to our catch can, and we won't have any need for that big filter thing anymore, and it'll free up a lot of room to run our wires. current one's kind of like dry and broken, so that's the main reason I got new ones. I also wanted to have multiple different sizes to test out. Okay, so we got the fitting on, and it clears our spark plug wire pretty well now. And as you saw, this is pretty tight in there. I actually had to put this 90-degree on just to be able to wiggle it in there and get enough leverage. So I don't think this will be blowing out. Hopefully not. Anyway, ideally, you know, you would want to weld this on, but this is kind of just a quick fix so we don't have to take the whole valve cover off, find someone who can weld something on there. So I think this will work pretty well. It's definitely pretty tight in there. So I would recommend this. I'm going to put the links to these 3 pieces down in the comments. And I do still need to get some -8 AN line to run to my catch can, but that shouldn't be an issue. We can always do that later. So let's go ahead and make these spark plug wires, and then we'll be pretty much done here. Okay, so we got our length right here. This is the length we're gonna do all our spark plug wires to. It's gonna be really awesome that they're all the same length as well, as opposed to the varying lengths before. So I'm gonna cut the rest of these to match this one. So we got everything bolted up. We got the spark plug wires hooked up, and I kind of just pushed this in a little bit just so we could get an idea of how that can route. And I was trying to make sure that nothing would be touching, which I think nothing will touch, so it'll look pretty clean. And overall, I gotta say I'm much happier with this than I was with the coil brackets over there. The spacing is, I don't know, it's a little bit awkward, but definitely like this a lot better. I think the engine looks just overall much cleaner with like that. The only thing left I have to do is just zip tie this up, and I'm probably not gonna record that. I'll just take care of that tomorrow. But overall, yeah, pretty happy with how that turned out. Yeah, so in the next video, we're going to get a battery for this car. We're gonna figure out what's draining the batteries. Hopefully we can start it up and figure out the issue. Then we'll be ready for spring. So see you guys in the next video.